Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and it's another random destruction, and it's not what I was actually going to do today, and I'll explain that in a moment. I was actually going to do an SU-100Y, a box tank, a proper review. I did a tiny little short one quite a while ago when I just started my channel, and I was going to do a proper one because it snuck into the tech tree, and I didn't know, probably just because I'm crap, but I only noticed it yesterday, and I could have sworn I was looking at the Russian tank destroyers a couple of days ago and it wasn't there. I don't know if it went in the last update, or there was sort of a little mini update a couple of days ago that may have put it in, but yes, the box tank is now in the tech tree. So I was going to do a review of that today, but I couldn't, unfortunately, but I'll get into that in a minute. I'm in my tier 4 German tank destroyer, the Hetzer, and I wasn't ever going to bother with this, and then I've come up against them a few times in tier 4 matches. I watched a few videos on Jingle's channel featuring the Hetzer, and I thought, do you know what, bugger it, I'll give it a go. And I quite like it, and I keep it around to have a bit of fun in. I've got the 105mm derp howitzer on because it's just much more fun, as this Stuart's about to find out. A nice big hit, not quite enough to finish him off, but it's 64mm of pen on its armour piercing, which I don't really use, with 350 damage. 104 on the heat rounds, again 350 damage. 53 pen on the high explosive with 410 damage, and I tend to just fire nothing but high explosive out of this. Again, just have a bit of fun. 1.7 second aiming time, 0.53 accuracy, which is awful. 6.9 rounds a minute. Now, this is a tier 5 match on Pacific Island, and it's a standard battle. But in a tier 4 match, the armour on this can be very trolly from the front. It's very well angled, and it's quite thick for a tier 4, 60mm, and like I say, very well angled. The sides and rear are a completely different story, however, at 20 and 8 respectively, but it's quite a nimble, nippy little thing, and it is very, very stealthy. So, started off up there, taking a couple of shots at the early spotters there. Took out the M3 between us, and I'm just going to try and sneak around in the middle down here. It seems fairly safe, so I'm going to try and have a little sneak around. Anyway, so the reason it's a bit of a shorter episode tonight, it's only two replays, and to be honest, I nearly didn't get last night's video up, and that's because my youngest little boy, who's 4, tripped over a bicycle, well, a tricycle, at school yesterday, and he's broken his elbow, unfortunately. So yesterday, my wife and my sister took him up to the hospital, and he's had a temporary pot put on. And then today, me and my wife had to take him back up to the hospital to basically discuss if anything needed to be done about it. It's a hairline fracture, and I think they just need to do a small amount of manipulation, nothing invasive or anything like that, just to make sure it's all in the right place before they put a permanent pot on it tomorrow. But he's alright, he's coping with it, it's not really bothering him at all. He's been quite good with it. So yeah, he's alright, but it's just been obviously quite hectic. So we got home after being up there for quite a while, and managed to knock out a few rounds on this, and basically picked the two best of the bunch, really, to put a video up tonight for you. And tomorrow won't be the SU-100Y review either, because I've just seen that the Stug 4, the tier 5 premium German tank destroyer, is coming onto the store tomorrow, I believe, the 30th. I think, yeah, it's tomorrow. And also the that French premium artillery, the LFFFFFF, and I think I did a review of that when it came on the first time. I've got it, I quite enjoy it actually. It's something a bit different, and in a pinch you can actually hold a choke point as a tank destroyer if you're careful enough, especially if you're top tier as well. But anyway, back to the Hetzers. Hetzer's gonna Hetz, which, in case you don't know, Hetzer, according to Google, is German for pursuer or hunter. Well, that KV, yeah, I'm taking a risk here. I know he's very inaccurate. He can't see me anymore because he'd popped off my radar, so I know I'd popped off his, and this is a sneaky little tank destroyer. But I'm just having no effect. I tried firing a couple of heat at him, a heat at him, but no. So I decided to basically not give up, but just, I think I'd be more use somewhere else, rather than just chipping away at the health of that KV very, very slowly. So I'm going to move over towards the south and the enemy spawn. There's a type T-34 up there, but I haven't got much of a shot. And yeah, unfortunately I'm just bouncing up and down on those logs. So back up a bit. But he manages to hit, and it's enough to finish him off. And that is why I like the Hetzer with this gun. It's just good fun. In a tier 4 match you can actually be quite aggressive. Not overly aggressive, you know, you cannot get surrounded. Anything gets a shot at your side or your rear, and it's probably going to penetrate. But you can at least, in the second half of the match, afford to be quite aggressive and start moving in and just taking out damaged tanks. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can one-shot if you penetrate tier 4 and definitely tier 3. Wasn't quite fast enough to get the artillery, although that was a lucky shot on the T1 Heavy. I really wasn't expecting that to hit, and I thought it had missed. It took that long to get there. These HE shells don't have a particularly high muzzle velocity, and in fact I didn't realise at the time, but I've run out of HE and it's now firing the armour piercing. But the reason I prefer the HE is because they have got almost as much penetration as the armour piercing, but they won't bounce. So even if you hit and don't penetrate, at least it's not going to bounce and you're going to do some damage. Oh, just knocked the tracks off the T1 Heavy, but I get a bit of tracking damage for it, so it's not too savage. But yeah, good fun little round. I like sneaking about in my Hetzer. And like I say, I mean, it's tier 4, that was a tier 5 match. Tier 6, you have to be quite careful, especially if you're using that one. You really do have to figure out which ammunition to use. But 1,000 damage done. Not the best I've done. Got first class mastery though, which is quite nice. And came top of the table, which is always nice when you're not a top tier tank to come up top. But yeah, there you go. And like I say, I'm going to dip my hand in my pocket, I think, tomorrow, pick up the Stug 4, and hopefully I'll be doing a review of that tomorrow night. So if you are thinking of buying it, maybe hold off and see what I say in my review of it. So here we are for the second one. It's Highway Standard Battle, and I'm in my, well, yeah, Chieftain Mk tier 10 heavy tank for the British, and obviously it's tier 10 battle. Quick rundown of the stats before we get going. 270mm pen, 400 damage, 7.2 rounds a minute, awesome accuracy at 0.32, and a fantastic aiming time at 1.5 seconds. Fairly mobile at 42 kilometers now. Well, I'd say fairly mobile, it is quite mobile. 40-degree traverse, 30 on the turret. View range is 390, so it's a bit less than the FV215B, which is 410, I think it is, which of course is the other tier 10 British heavy. Fairly weak hull on this, 85mm on the front, 51 on the sides, and 25 on the rear. I think we talked about the rear will get overmatched, even if they catch you at a very extreme angle as you disappear around a corner, because it's so thin. But the upper plate can be quite trolly, but you really have to watch that lower plate, and I find personally that the Chieftain works much better in a supporting role because of that weaker hull. And working ridgelines, it's an absolute boss at working ridgelines, it really is. Turret 250 on the front, 140 on the sides, and again quite a poor 30 on the rear. So pop this one on. It appeared originally to be quite a mediocre match, actually, in fact quite poor, to be honest. I was not holding out high hopes for this match, and that was mostly because of the spread at the beginning of the game. Now, I don't claim to be an expert tactician, but I do know that the enemy team do normally make quite a strong push around this northwestern corner, from experience, from being on the enemy team and on the receiving end of it as well. And we could have done with a bit more support. Well, I thought we could have done with a little bit more support up this end, just in case things got a bit hairy, because like I say, quite often there's a decent push of about 5 or 6 tanks coming around this northeastern corner. I know most of the heavies tend to go to the city, but I find that the Chieftain's not much of a city fighter. You've got to be very careful side scraping, and like I say, it works best in support and working ridgelines. Well, it does in my opinion anyway, that's where I have more success. So again, like I say, it appeared to be quite a mediocre match this at first. So there's an object 430 down that way, and I was wondering if he'd got anybody with him, which is why I'm being a bit cautious. I don't want to go charging down there and find out that he's not the only guy down there. He could be trying to bait us, the rest of them could be sat behind that house. But he's not popping out, and I have a feeling that if he did have anybody with him, they wouldn't be quite as patient as they are. So I decided to rush him, and I plant a good hit on him, and I think somebody else behind me does as well, and I managed to damage his ammo rack. I take a hit in return though. It takes off a bit of health, but as he pops around again, I get another hit into him and damage his ammo rack again. And I'm assuming because he didn't pop his turret that he fixed it in between, but now obviously it's damaged again. And I took a bit of a hit on the side there again. Now one more may finish him off if I'm lucky. I think it could potentially. 444, that was a high roll and it's left him alive. So no, I think I was overestimating the damage a bit there. Or underestimating the amount of health he got left. And now, quite rightly so, I can't blame him. He's, yeah, getting the hell out of there. He's lost most of his health. And I can't blame him for pulling back. I think I'd be doing the same thing, to be honest. Now, this is where I've got to be careful. There is normally a plethora, excuse me, a plethora of tank destroyers. And unfortunately, heavy tanks, normally top tier, camping that ridge up there. So I had to be careful coming back here, but I got across without anything, and I just managed to pop him off before he gets a shot at me. And there comes Artie. Artie is not the friend of chieftains. Artie is not the friend of most British heavies from tier 8 and upwards. I don't know about the FV215B, I've not got it just yet. With the large engine decks and the weak side armour. Yeah, Artie loves to pound on things like Carnarvon and the Conqueror and the Chieftain, I found. Alright, managed to finish off the, was it T-32 up there or T-34? And there doesn't seem to be anything camping that ridge, which is unusual. It looks like the vast majority of the enemy team have actually gone towards the town. There was only that 430 really that came across, although I think there was a heavy near the bridge in the middle earlier on. I'm not sure, can't speak again, not sure what it was. Right, I've got to be careful coming up here. There's a T-124 over there. Can I get a shot on him as he disappears? No. Now something keeps spotting me and I was assuming it was him, but there's an E75 up here, so I'm going to use this ridge line and I'm going to keep popping up and try and put them through that lower plate, and hopefully he's just going to bounce off my turret, or if he does hit my upper plate, it should bounce off that, because even though it's only 85mm, that upper plate is very well angled, and I've even bounced shots on level footing with other tanks off that upper plate. You know, without actually accentuating the angle. Yeah, it can be quite trolly. Managed to get another hit into him as he disappears backwards over that ridge. Now Artie's there. I've taken a hit from something as well. I've just got a bit at the top of his turret, but it's just enough, luckily, and then take a nasty hit from an IS-7 in the side. And yeah, that was poorly aimed. And I take another hit, but luckily it went, well, I don't know if it went wide or if I dodged, but it just hit the side of the tank, so it didn't penetrate. And Artie's up there, and I don't fancy having him at my back, so I managed to finish him off. And you notice I popped up when I knew those buildings were going to cover me on my right. And I'm going to try and do something about this T-110E4 as well. That one bounced, or missed, I think it just missed. But I've got the front of that machine gun cupola on top now, and I managed to put one through it. Slightly above average at 419. I don't know if it's because he's pulled back, or if I'm on a different position of this hill, but I can't quite get another shot. And then, oh no, T-541 gets picked off by somebody else. Got an IS-7 down there, but I can't quite get a shot. And again, poorly aimed. Now we're being base capped as well. That was a lucky miss. That could have ended it right there. I'm keeping an eye out on the left for the T124, but he seems to be going to reset their cap. Oh, that was lucky as well. That was a bit derpy of me to just fling out from that grain silo. And I was being quite careful to keep it in front of me as well, but I managed to get the side of the T124 and finally finish him off. Now, I've got to be careful. We've got an IS-7 across there. That's what hit my tracks. I didn't actually know that one was there. I'd seen that the other one had got destroyed, and I think that's why I went out. And there's the base capper, and I've got his side, but I just track him. But it's enough to reset the cap and put the last shot into him to finish him off. Now, that's when I realised that actually I'd left myself quite exposed there, and I was very lucky not to be taken out. And I'm going to try and use the wreck of the T54E1. There's the IS-7. Can I get a shot? Not quite. I've got to be so careful. It's a difficult tank side scraping, but I've got this bump in front of me that I might just be able to use. Nope. Not today. That was unfortunate. And as you can see, I didn't really have high hopes for this game at the beginning of it, but I've actually done quite well. We come out of that with a top gun, which is always nice. Not a tremendous amount of damage done, as we'll see in a minute. But, like I say, it's always nice to come out with a top gun. Especially those matches that surprise you, where you see the spread at the beginning, you just think, oh, this is going to go badly. And it starts off a bit mediocre, and you're not really doing much, and then all of a sudden, you pull it back, and, well, actually, no, the damage is a bit higher than I thought. Just shy of 5,000 damage. You know, not stunning for a chieftain, but not bad. Third class mastery, because people are doing very well in it, and I did get a lot of extra silver through those ops, but I did come out of it with a top gun, which is always nice. But I didn't come top, I came second, because the AMX CDC, who is a tier 8 in a tier 10 game, looks like he had a cracking game, so well done to him. Anyway, there you go, shorter one tonight. I'll be back tomorrow, like I say, with the Stug 4 review. But I hope it's been entertaining for you, and maybe learn what to do or what not to do. So, as always, take care out there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.